A wild week it's definitely been. 22% profit on a 7% move on QQQ. If you guys aren't aware of how we managed to do that, make sure to watch that last video we posted. I'm going to link it right up here so you guys can recap that whenever you guys want to. I'll also drop it at the very end. So if you guys watch through this entire video, you guys can watch it afterwards and kind of see how we came about it. I'll do a quick recap on what we did exactly to be able to capitalize on that 22% move and how and where we got that 22% when the move here on QQQ is only 7% from Friday till Monday, 7.06% or so. So we'll dive right on into all of that. We're going to dive into the charts. I'm going to do a quick recap. I'm going to talk about the levels that we were paying attention to and the levels that we're paying attention to this upcoming week. This upcoming week is going to be full of earnings and it's going to be full of economic data. So make sure that you guys stay tuned. That way you guys know what to pay attention to and when you should expect that to happen. We're also going to recap some of the levels that we did or some of the levels that we were watching and some of the levels that we're going to be watching moving forward and kind of what our expectation is on the market and where it's going to be going in this next week. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the charts. I'm going to share my screen, grab a drawing tool, and we'll jump right on into it. Shared screen. Alrighty, let's grab a drawing tool here and we'll get into the nitty gritty. So if you guys watched the last video or the video before that, we pretty much did a video right over here and we did a video right over here. This is when we started buying SQQQ, which is the inverse ETF of the NASDAQ market, which is QQQ right over here. And we are looking at this on a daily chart, so make sure you guys are aware of that. This is where we started buying. We bought through this whole consolidation period, and then we hit it with some large size right when we finally saw a break out of this consolidation period to the downside, because SQQQ goes up when the overall market goes down. And when we saw this market go down, this 7 point whatever percent, it was about 7.06. We actually saw SQQQ go up 22%. And I'm going to jump into the chart of SQQQ and show you guys that 22% that we were able to capitalize on. But I did want to show you guys that in the last video, we talked about 3 levels to pay attention to on the way down. The first level being 410. And that was going to be the first level that we might potentially find support at. We are currently testing this level here, and we are forming a potential reversal pattern. So tomorrow on Tuesday, we do want to see how the market reacts. If it continues to push higher, then we're going to look into switching to TQQQ. We have closed out our SQQQ position here at this it didn't even really reach 410. It reached more like 412 or so. And again, these levels are general zones, so they're not exact levels. So 410 is a general zone. It could be up or down a couple dollars to where it's going to be testing that zone, but in general, you should be paying attention to this general price point, right? 390 was going to be the next one, and 370 is going to be the next one. So we are testing this 410 zone for a potential support. If we do find support, let me go ahead and clear the drawing. That way we can show you where we anticipate the market going if we do end up bouncing here at the 410 zone. So at the 410 zone, we bounce. The first thing we want to see is a break above this baby blue line, which is the exponential moving average. And that next expectation that we have is re-entering this consolidation period, testing this consolidation period, and then at that point, we will again reevaluate where the market's at, where the fundamentals are pointing, and if we are going to see a break up to the upside or more likely a breakdown to the downside. So that's going to be a scenario that we're going to be dealing with at a later time once we do break up into this. And this is option A, right? If we do end up finding support at 410 and bouncing, this is the first thing that we might see happen. The second thing we might see happen here is going to be a test here, which we are seeing a move back up to this exponential moving average line, rejection here, come back, test 410. And if we hold 410, we might see consolidation here and then a bounce. Or if we break 410, we're going to be headed down to that 390 zone, which is this next zone. And that general zone is going to be 390 to about 400. So it's going to be around here, I would say. And then if we break this zone, the next zone down is going to be the 370 zone. So again, this really comes down to the economic data that we're going to see released, the earnings and how the market reacts to the earnings that are going to be released, and the forward guidance. So this is the second possibility that we might see. And that's pretty much kind of what I wanted to give you guys a quick recap on. I do want to keep this video short. That way you guys kind of get the main points of what I'm trying to bring across. Just like we did in the last one. The last video was a little longer, but we ended up seeing it play out exactly as we talked. So what do I believe we're going to see this upcoming week? So nobody knows, because the market is the market, and we don't know what the earnings are going to be. We don't know what economic data is going to come out, right? If it's going to be positive or negative, if the market's going to react positively to earnings or negatively, right? We did end up seeing a little bit of a bounce. Now you might be asking, why are we seeing a bounce, right? So if you remember in the last video, or if you didn't watch the last video, the situation in the last video was there was some tension in the Middle East between Iran and Israel. We ended up seeing a bit of a response from Israel, so that it feels like things kind of have gotten smoothed over. So the tension might be dying down a little bit. So there's more confidence coming back into the market. Again, when there's fear, the markets get weak, right? So that's the first reason. The second reason is we are starting to see people get a little optimistic going into this week, because we're going to be seeing some big tech earnings and people have expectations, right? So they're jumping into that. Now, do we know what those earnings are going to be? We don't know, but we do see the patterns playing out in the charts. And again, I'm personally not going to be bullish until we see a break above this exponential moving average on the daily chart. Now, if we don't see a break above that, then I'm staying bearish, right? Now, there's a couple other points that I do want you guys to notice, is that we are extremely oversold on the daily chart based on the RSI, right? So we are hitting that 30 zone, and we are potentially seeing a reversal to the upside. So that's the first reason that this scenario, the first one, might be in play for us to retrace back up into this consolidation period and then go from there. We're also seeing the MACD, it has not yet begun to converge to the upside, but we are starting to see a change of color from red to orange. Now, that might not mean anything just yet until we see that confirmation, that break above this exponential moving average. So that's the case for the first scenario. The second scenario is Tuesday opens up really weak, and then we end up seeing a pushback down to this 410 zone, test it, possibly break it within the next day or two, Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on, again, the economic data that's going to be released and the earnings that are going to be released. That's really going to be dictating how the market's going to behave this entire week, in my opinion. So if we end up seeing a push down tomorrow morning or around noon, at any point tomorrow, if we push back down, then the bearish scenario is still in play, and we might potentially not only just consolidate by 410, but possibly even come down and test the 390. Now, 370, I do not expect us to come down to 370. That is a zone to watch, but I don't anticipate we're going to come down to that zone, not just yet. We do want to first come down to that 390 zone, test that, and see kind of how we feel at that point. And then we can talk about 370. But this is just a zone to pay attention to. I don't anticipate that we're going to be hitting that zone anytime in the next week. So those are the two scenarios. Coming back up to that 450 zone, consolidation zone, or this would be consolidation, or we come down to 410 and test this 390 zone. So again, that's going to come back to what happens tomorrow morning. Are we going to open up strong and continue this reversal pattern that we are seeing right over here? Or are we going to open up weak and start pushing down? So now let's jump into SQQQ. I do want to show you guys where that 22% came from. Again, I break down exactly how we were preparing over the last two videos. If you go back and watch the last two videos, you're going to see how we were preparing for this 22% move. And it really was just a fairly simple swing play that we did see, because the market was so overbought and things were not looking good from a fundamental standpoint. I'm going to switch over to a 1 hour chart. That way we can get an accurate measurement. So Monday was right over here. This was the last video. And then the video before that was about a week or two before that. So we're going to measure from Monday. And if you guys watched the earlier videos, you definitely had an opportunity to capitalize on even more than 22%. But we're just recapping kind of the last week here. So measuring from Monday's move to Friday's end of day close, we're looking at 22.13. Let me remeasure that. 22.38%, plus or minus point whatever percent, but 22% as a whole. Now the market opened up. We are seeing a little bit of a difference here. And this is SQQQ, which goes up when the market goes down. So since the market started going up a little bit today, we ended up seeing a little bit of a pullback. Again, we're going to want to see how the market opens tomorrow to see if we're going to see a continuation here on SQQQ or if we're going to begin to pull back. And then it's going to be time for us to jump into TQQQ, which goes up when the overall market goes up as well. So again, definitely the same scenario with TQQQ. We're going to keep the team informed. So if you guys are interested in being in the loop every single day on every move that we make, there's going to be a link in the description down below. So if you guys are interested, feel free to join. But that's just a recap of kind of what those expectations are. Do I think the market's going to go up or down? Again, hard to say when it's such a big week ahead of us. But from what I'm seeing from a technical standpoint, I'm going to go back to the daily chart. There is a very strong case for a potential reversal to the upside. So at this point, I am more bearish until I'm not, which means until we see that break above the exponential moving average, I will remain bearish. But as soon as we break that baby blue line, that exponential moving average, I will be switching over to trading TQQQ instead of SQQQ. And the reason being is, again, there's multiple indicators here telling you, and everything is really adding up, is if we see some strong earnings coming in, we have a reversal pattern formed, we are extremely oversold on the daily, and we have a ton of room for us to reverse and converge to the upside on the MACD. Plenty of room to run back up into this 450 zone right here and retest this zone, which is very likely. Doesn't mean that we're going to explode up into new highs, but we're definitely going to be consolidating for a little bit. So there is a very strong case for us to be going long. If tomorrow opens strong and if earnings start coming in strong, I'm going to make a quick swap to TQQQ and then be trading that until that trend dies. But for now, we are remaining on SQQQ until we see some changes, until we see that break above the exponential moving average. Now, real quickly, I do want to jump into the earnings and the economic data that's going to be released. So I'm going to pull up the economic data calendar. Today, we didn't have much. Again, I think there was a lot of excitement around the market being open, it being Monday again. So a lot of buyers were stepping in. So that might have been why we saw so much buying pressure. We didn't have too much crazy things going on with earnings either, but let's run through the economic data. Today, nothing really exciting happened. Tomorrow, what we do have is this is going to be based on Pacific time. So make sure to switch that to your time zone so that you can be aware of what's happening at your time. So 6:45 tomorrow morning, we're going to be seeing the global U.S. manufacturing PMI. That's going to be an important one to pay attention to. The S&P Global Services PMI for the month of April is going to be at 6:45 as well. And then we're going to have new home sales for the month of March being released as well on Tuesday. Now, it's going to start getting really juicy on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Those are going to be the days to pay attention to. So Wednesday, what we're looking at is we're looking at the durable goods orders month over month for the month of March. That's going to be released 5:30 a.m. pre-market, so an hour before the market opens. Crude oil inventories, 7:30 Pacific time. That's going to be the two to pay attention to on Wednesday, and Thursday is where it's going to really start kicking off. We're going to have the core PCE prices, or the core PCE prices being released for quarter 1, continuous jobless claims being released. So that's going to be looking at unemployment, GDP quarter over quarter, GDP price index as well at 5:30 in the morning. We're also going to have the initial jobless claims being released at 5:30 in the morning. So being up on Wednesday or on Thursday a little bit earlier is going to probably be important. And then Friday, we're going to have the core PCE price index being released month over month and year over year for the month of March, also at 5:30 in the morning. We're also going to have the Dallas Fed PCE for the month of March. And that's really going to be it. But I do want you guys to note that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, those are going to be some pretty important days. There isn't too much data being released, but the data that is going to be released is going to be important, and it's going to move the needle on the market. So make sure to pay attention to that. Let me clear the drawings, and we're going to jump into the last bit of earnings and talk about that, what to pay attention to. And this is also going to be the big one that's really going to move the needle for the market and really determine if we're going to be continuing higher or if we're going to break down to the downside. So today we had Verizon pre-market. That was a pretty decent one. Nothing big on earnings happened today. So again, the move I think that we saw was just market sentiment not necessarily being represented, but people coming in after the weekend, excited to trade, buying up because everything is at a discount because the market pulled back so much last week. But tomorrow, pre-market, we have GM, we have UPS, we have PepsiCo reporting, Spotify, JetBlue, and then after close, we have the big ones starting to come in. We have Tesla, we have Visa, and that's going to be the two big ones for aftermarket tomorrow on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have Boeing, AT&T pre-market, and then post-market or after the market closes, we have Facebook, Meta, we have IBM, we have Ford, Chipotle, not a big one, but one that a lot of people know. Thursday, we're going to have pre-market American Airlines reporting, Caterpillar reporting, Southwest reporting, airlines reporting. And then after close Thursday, again, really big day on Thursday, Microsoft, Alphabet, the parent company. We have Intel, Snap reporting, Roku reporting, T-Mobile reporting. So Thursday is going to be a pretty heavy day. And then pre-market on Friday, we have Chevron reporting, and we also have ExxonMobil. So for oil, if you're trading oil, that's going to be a good day for you guys to pay attention to. So that's really it for this week. I hope you guys gain some value. Again, the recap is really coming down to the fact that, we're going to have to see how those earnings report, how the market reacts to those earnings, basically starting on, I would say, Tuesday, tomorrow, after market closes. We have the big names starting to roll in. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those 3 days are going to be crucial in terms of paying attention to your earnings as well as economic data. And I think that's really going to clear up where the market is headed. So again, we have a really good setup for a long position going into TQQQ, but until we break that exponential moving average, that baby blue line, we are remaining bearish until the trend changes, right? So we are currently in a bearish trend. And then until that proves different, that's what we're going to be remaining in. So hopefully if you guys found value in this video, if you guys did, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think is going to be happening this week. Let me know if you guys were able to capitalize on the move and on that video that we made last week about this drop that we saw that we were able to bring in 22% on. Let me know how much you were able to bring in on that move. And again, let me know where you think the market's going to be going and why. I'm really curious to see kind of where people are at and why they think certain things are going to happen. So drop that in the comments, and I'll see you guys on next week's Stock Talk video.